Divorce is a heartbreaking event for any family. For Tiffany Flock, it was the spark that led her into rebellion.
I was a daddy's girl, and so when my dad had to leave the home, I was just crushed. And then right after that, my mom started dating other men. I could remember seeing my mom hold another guy's hand. I went outside and just started screaming. It was horrible. It was so horrible.
By the age of 12, Tiffany began to hang out with much older friends. First, they enticed her to drink, then to use drugs. Finally, they dared her to have sex.
Here I am, 12 years old, and it was a dare from my friend. And so I was like, okay, everyone else is doing it, so why not? And so that's where it started.
For the next several years, Tiffany partied to deal with her anger and insecurity over the divorce. By age 15, she was pregnant.
And I was just like, oh gosh, I'm pregnant. And a lot of my friends were getting pregnant at that time.
At that point, did you have plans to carry out the pregnancy?
At first, to be rebellious towards my mom. That's how her and I were in a fight on the phone, and I was like, well, guess what? I'm pregnant. And she just flipped out. She was like, oh my gosh, you know, you're 15. What are we gonna do?
Tiffany's parents took her to a clinic to have an abortion.
It was afterwards that I ended up in the back seat of the car screaming at the top of my lungs because I was in pain, and it was just traumatic, and I didn't really understand what I had just went through and what I had just done.
2 years later, Tiffany was pregnant again.
I had been being promiscuous, sleeping with a few different guys.
Tiffany didn't tell her parents. This time, she and her boyfriend went to the abortion clinic to end her pregnancy.
I started having intense pain. I didn't know what was going on, but I couldn't even work because I was doubled over. It hurt so bad. And so my mom took me to the doctor, and when she took me to the doctor, we found out there was fetal matter still in me. And so like baby's arms or legs or something was still inside of me.
Tiffany's pregnancy had been too far along for the type of abortion that was performed, so she had to undergo surgery to complete the botched abortion. The scene played itself out a third time 2 years later. Tiffany, now 19, was still on drugs and headed for her third abortion.
The other 2 times I had been asleep. They had put me to sleep for the procedure, but this time I was awake, and I could remember hearing everything. It was the worst. Like, that was the most traumatic experience in my whole life. I could just remember hearing this vacuum thing, and all of a sudden I just felt my insides being ripped out of me, and I started screaming. I was like, ah! And the doctor was like, be quiet. The other girls in the other room can hear you.
Tiffany and her boyfriend eventually broke up, but she was back on the hunt for another man to fill her void.
During those years, what is it that you were searching for?
Love.
Mm-hmm.
Love from anything that would give me love. If there was a guy that I thought the physical, let's have sex was showing me love, where really it was ripping my heart out and tearing my soul apart.
When a friend invited Tiffany to his church's singles group, she took him up on the offer, even though she considered herself anything but a church kid.
It was just a bunch of single, 20-somethings, and they were just having a good time worshiping the Lord, and so I liked it, and I felt free. I felt free there.
Tiffany decided to visit the Sunday service. That morning, a major change took place in her heart.
I accepted Jesus right then, and I just started crying. It was like I finally was saved, but I knew that there was about to be a major, I have to follow the Lord. It was the most difficult season of my life because the longer I was sober, the longer I had to deal with who Tiffany was.
Tiffany stopped partying, but had a hard time facing her past and the pain from her parents' divorce.
I can remember being in the bed just weeping like a little girl, just balled up, and had my grandmother on the phone, and she's like, Tiffany, whatever you do not give up. I just felt so lonely, but it forced me into reading the Bible.
As Tiffany studied her Bible, she realized the gravity of her 3 abortions. A flood of emotions swept over her one Sunday in church.
At that moment, I just broke. I was like, wow, I murdered 3 children. I mean, it was like I just got hit in the head with a brick. I just lost it and just started asking the Lord to forgive me, but it was reality, what I had done, that those 3 lives and their destinies would never come forth. I did struggle with guilt for a season of my life until the Lord set me free from that. And now, you know, it just pushes me into intercession for life, that people would choose life instead of death.
Tiffany found someone to share her life with. She and her husband Nathaniel are expecting their first child.
I have the most amazing husband ever. Before, it was just out of me wanting to fulfill a desire of needing to be wanted or loved. And now with Nathaniel, it's just a gift because I realize that Jesus loves me and Nathaniel's love is just a gift for me. I'm not seeking after him to love me.
What are your hopes for your baby?
That it would be everything that God plans it to be. I want the fullness of its destiny to come forth. Since I've become a Christian, I have found the love that I've always been searching for. There's just a peace about me knowing that the Lord loves me. His word is a lamp upon our feet and a light upon our path, and I feel that as I walk every day.